Alright, so this is going to be a video for recharging the Freon for a Samsung RFG 297AARS. I believe that this should be fairly universal if your refrigerator is low on Freon. So it does take 134 for the refrigerant that is on there, as you can see. So we have our can of refrigerant that is here. I got some with stop leak in there just because I don't know if this fridge has any leaks or in it or not. The moral of the story of this fridge is I did find it on the side of the road, and you can't really see it, but it's pretty sweet. It's stainless steel. I won't show you the front because it's already backed up against the house, but this is a video for a bullet piercing valve. I ran diagnostics on it, and the diagnostics were actually all back here where this circuit board is. When you run diagnostics on it, I'll show you really quick. Once it's plugged in, I guess you will get to see the front of this, huh? Won't you? So this is the front. Like I said, stainless steel. This thing was just sitting on the side of the road, so I totally scooped it. Once it's plugged in, what you're going to be doing is hitting these two buttons at the same time, which is the energy saver button and the lighting button. This will illuminate, the buttons will turn on, and I guess I'll just, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys. So, okay, got it plugged in. This is showing that it does have power. What you'll do is the compressor just kicked on. You will take these two buttons and push them at the same time. And after about 8 seconds, it already runs a diagnostic. Whenever typically this number and this number will illuminate, and it'll tell you that something's wrong. If it throws a code on there, you can look up the code. I don't know what they are, but I'm sure you can figure it out, being it is YouTube. Now on the back, there is this little thing. Do not touch pretty much any of this shit unless you have a death wish. Now you see that little red light that's right there, right between my finger and the circle of my finger? If that little red light is blinking, it'll tell you what's wrong with it. And the amount of blinks that it does in sequence will let you know what part to fix. If it's completely solid, it means it's good. So all the parts on this are still good. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and unplug this guy. Yes, I used an extension cord. And we'll get back to showing you what this video is about. Now, to show you the parts you're going to need for this, you're going to need a bullet piercing valve. This is by Supco. I'm not sure what the part number is on there, but I'll go ahead and provide the Amazon link because trying to find one of these in town is pretty much impossible. Now, this is what the bullet piercing valve looks like. Now, it's supposed to have these 3 bolts that go in these 3 portions of it here. The actual part that does the piercing is right there in the center. Up underneath this is where that little needle is. So whenever you screw, sorry, my dirty ass fingernails, when you screw this little screw into here, that needle will come through and show, and that is what's going to pierce our valve, or going to pierce our pipe rather. And on the other side of where the screws, 3 contact screws will go into, there will be 2 little boots, for lack of a better word, or spacers that will go ahead and fit. Now on my particular model, there's a thinner one and there's a thicker one. This one is fairly thin, as you can see. This one is fairly thick. So the one I'm using is the one that I'm moving right here, which is the bottom one. It's got a little bit more beef on it. You want to make sure that that will fit fairly well right around that little pipe, because it's going to be airtight. So this is where I've decided to go ahead and put it on my pipe. As far as putting it on the correct pipe, there's a suction line and there's a liquid line. The liquid line is the one that's here, goes down into the coil. From now, I'm gathering this, I'm just regurgitating YouTube knowledge that I learned. But from what I can gather, this is the suction line. So the suction line, the liquid line will go into here, pump into the coil. The coil will then pump refrigerant up into it, cool the refrigerator off, and then it will come back down to this. The suction line will come in, up into the compressor. You can see the line goes back into there, feeds in, and sucks in. So if you really think about it, this is import and export. Obviously, we don't want this refrigerant to go in out of the export. We want it to come to the import. I can't really put it here because I need a flat space for that valve to be able to sit. So the valve is going right there. Alright, so I've already gone ahead and placed my valve on here. I've replaced these 3 screws. Again, this is the opening portion of the valve, open and closed. Now, because this valve is backed all the way out, going counterclockwise, that means that the pin has not pierced the actual pipe just yet, so it's still secure. I just put it on here. I can move it a little bit if need be, but this thing is going to be staying here for the life of the refrigerator until you get rid of it. So you want to make sure that you have enough clearance to be able to not only open and close these Allen head wrenches, because everybody knows how convenient these damn things are, right? But you want to make sure that you have enough space for your also Amazon purchase of your gauge. Now this gauge has with a 134, R134, R112, and R22. R12 and R22, from my knowledge, are fairly older versions of Freon. The 134 is the most frequently used one. So this already comes with what they call a retrofitting, and this retrofitting will actually fit on top of our refrigerant that's here. And then this guy will screw into this here. So you want to make sure that you have enough space to be able to work all this stuff around. Right? So let's go ahead and tighten this guy down. I think that's probably about as good as it's going to get. It's going to clear it. It should clear it. Okay, so we're going to tighten this guy down. Now, again, we're not tightening down the piercing part of it yet. We're just tightening down where the actual valve is going. And you notice that this is a little bit lighter color than this. I did take some sandpaper. I just used some 220 grit sandpaper. Gave it a little bit of a polish on there so that way that the valve has a good bite. And it doesn't move around. There's no debris or anything that goes inside of the line. Like I said, working with these Allen wrenches are just the thing I dream of every night. It's the easiest thing to do in the world. So is doing this one-handed. So, tighten this down. So like I said, we got it all figured out. We're at equilibrium, we're sitting at right now. And the refrigerator is not plugged in. Okay? So what we're going to go ahead and do is pierce our pipe. Put this guy right down into there. Now, you should be able to feel it once it pierces and breaks down into that pipe. Again, I found this fridge on the side of the road, and it's about 50 bucks, really about 50 bucks worth of parts altogether here. And if 50 bucks makes this $2,300 refrigerator work, I'm going to be happier than a pig in shit. So will my wife. So, pretty sure we're pierced down into there. Yeah, we should be about good. Alright, that's about the bottom of that screw that's there. Alright, so now that our piercing valve is all the way down, which means that this valve is closed, right? This valve, if this piercing nipple is all the way down in this pipe, this has closed it off. So we are going to plug in. That's actually going to be our new bed frame soon, by the way. Check that video out whenever I post it. We're going to plug this guy in. Okay. Plugged in. We have power, so it's always good. Now, this valve is still closed. Fan is engaged. sounds like the compressor is kicked on. Alright, so I took this, I backed this screw out about 2 turns, so literally from here around to back, then here around to back, 2 turns. Notice that nipple is a little bit further out, so the valve is open. We are fairly in the negative here, which is a good sign. That means that this thing is low on Freon, and it is pretty low on Freon because we are in the, this is where the equilibrium is at the 0. This is where we are. And where we're going to aim to be is, you can see that there's a 0 mark that's right here, and there's a 10 mark that's right here above my thumbnail. So in the middle of that will be right about 5 or so. Hopefully my camera can focus. What we're going to be looking for is about 2 tick marks right above this 0. So we're not going to be very high above that. Try to get it a little bit more exact so you can see where I'm talking about, but there are going to be 2 little tick marks. One right here, and then one right there at the top of my thumb line, and that's right about where we're going to want to be. So what we're going to do now is, because we are in the pretty good negative here, we're going to go ahead and turn this guy down on this, so this will pierce the refrigerant can. Okay, so right now we're piercing the refrigerant. We're going to bottom this thing all the way out. As you can tell, I have a pound with all my dogs in the backyard. Alright, so that's turned all the way down. We're still in the negative, so that's good. Now what we're going to do is that you don't want to open this guy up all the way. Okay, this is really weird because this can is vibrating too as I'm talking to you. You don't want to open this guy up all the way because you're going to drown the compressor, and then it's not going to pull up all of the refrigerant that needs to be pulled up. So you're going to basically just be opening this valve and closing it in 2-second spurts, which I'm going to show you in the next clip. Alright, so thankfully I have a space where I can leave my phone up. So what we're going to go ahead and do is just open this for about 2 seconds. We're going to watch the valve, watch the gauge come up, and we're going to open for about 2 seconds to close it back down. Okay? Well, that didn't do shit. Pinterest versus reality on this, I suppose, isn't it? Let's open this valve a little bit more. Okay. All right, let's see if this does something. Alright, so I had to get another can of the refrigerant because I guess it didn't pierce the can properly. But as you can see on our gauge here, we're still fairly low on where we need to be. So what we're going to do is, whenever we take this guy, there's a way I can mount this up so where you can see it. So you can take this guy. Alright, put this here in a shot, and this is already opened up about halfway, so, but I basically kept opening it until the meter would spike, showing that it needed Freon. Also, forewarning, you need to shake the piss out of this thing in order to agitate it to get the gas up. So I've already kind of juiced it a couple times, but here we go. Little 2-second spurts just to kind of see where it's at. It's still fairly low on Freon, so. And again, my bullet piercing valve nut is all the way open, or it's 2 turns open. and just basically giving it little jolts of Freon here. And watching to see how it goes. Alright, so I've been at it between opening it and shutting it and kind of surging it for about the past 5 minutes, and I'm up. Looks like I'm almost up at equilibrium. That's really good. Hell yeah. Alright, so my valve right now is all the way closed shut on this guy. I have it set on the coldest setting to where if you're working with this fridge, I'll show you where that setting is, which is right here. See this button? So see where it says freezer hold for 3 seconds? I pushed and held that button. Watch how that light turns off. Okay. I push and hold it on. So that means that it's the coldest possible thing that the freezer will need. So that means that the compressor is working harder to pull the Freon up into there. So this is all a really good sign. Right now I'm pretty much at equilibrium. So I'm gonna keep working at it. Okay. So I'm still at 0, I think, right now, right? Yeah. I'm basically almost at flat 0. And this can is getting really cold, so my problem last time I think is just the can wasn't pierced. So what I'm gonna do, try to get this to where I can see it in the camera shot too. Can's all the way closed. I'm gonna open it back up again. Just enough to where it surges for about a second, because I don't really need that much. Watch that needle. Tighten this guy back down, see what it looks like. Getting closer. So, we're just above 0. I mean, a hair above 0. So I would think probably let the compressor pull in. The fan's also not engaging, but that little blinker light that's up there is not showing any distress or anything. So maybe it's only whenever the compressor is overworking that the fan engages. I'm not really sure. But see how we're just a hair above 0? I mean, oh, no, you can't see it. Shit. There we go. See how we're just a hair above 0. It's not that much. So it's climbing right now. There we go. You can kind of see it. I have the selfie cam on, so I couldn't see shit. Sorry, guys. So we're just above 0. I'm gonna surge it one more time and see if I can't get it right to like that second tick mark. Alright, last surge. I've closed the can all the way back down, shook it a little bit just to give it some agitation. Hopefully this will be the last bit to charge it all the way up. This refrigerant also has a stop leak in there. Like I said, just enough to spike it. It has a stop leak inside of it. It's about 11 ounces of the R134A and 1 ounce of an additive, which is for the sealant. High mileage refrigerant sealant. This is just something I picked up from Advanced Auto Parts down the street from my house. Can you see it in the video? There we go. So we're pretty much steady right there at the 1 mark. I mean, we've made significant progress since it being down here in the negative green. Just flip the camera around so I can see what I'm doing here. So, I mean, we're at like 1.5 right now. It's like floating at 1.5. So what the compressor is doing is basically pulling that Freon through the coils that are right there. Right, then the coils are pulling it all the way up in through the fridge and through the freezer, and it's coming back down on the suction line where we have it, and the suction line feeds back into, from what I understand, the back line that's right here. So again, like I said, import, export. Import for Freon, export for Freon. Okay. I mean, we're just almost at that 2 mark. And I think with it cycling through, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it just for the time being. Just because I'm going to be gone for the rest of the day, and we shall see if I have a cold fridge by the time I get back. So I just got done charging this guy with Freon. Put that little bullet piercing valve, which is right there, on there. And it was low as fuck on Freon. And it's already cold down in here, which is a fucking great thing. But what I'm going to do is show you. Okay? See this water? See how that's water that's there? And put that bitch in there. And it'll improve you in, what time is it now? 2:25. Let's say by like 5 o'clock, if that bitch is frozen, then I'm a fucking genius. It's time. Moment of truth, moment of truth, moment of truth, moment of truth. Where'd you go? Moment of truth. That is frozen fucking water, my friend. Bingo. We have contact.